The Commission of Inquiry to determine whether attempts were made to prevent the investigation and prosecution of South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission cases begins its hearings tomorrow. The establishment of the Commission of Inquiry is part of an agreement reached in settlement discussions in a court application brought by families of victims of apartheid-era crimes. Since the Commission wrapped up its work in 2003, almost none of the cases referred to the National Prosecuting Authority, the NPA, for prosecution have been resolved. Lionel Adendorf is the Commission's spokesperson and he joins us now live to chat more about this. Good evening. Thanks for joining us here on Late Edition.
Always nice being with you, Juliet.
What can we expect from tomorrow as the hearings get underway?
Tomorrow, after almost since we have started, opened our doors on the 1st of August, and we have started working towards this day, we have put in place all the systems, all the structures, all the administration procedures. We have had two pre-hearing engagements with lawyers, with family representatives of affected or interested and affected parties. We have done everything that we could despite three major delays that have impacted on our work severely. But tomorrow we are hoping that all the hard work of the last few months will come together and we will start our hearings. We will, however, be hearing one objection first. The TRC Cases Inquiry ruled a few weeks ago that lawyers for a particular witness can lead their own evidence. And then there were some parties and some legal representatives of other state institutions in particular who disagreed with that approach. But we are still convinced that that is the most sensible, and the commissioners will rule on those objections tomorrow first. And if everything goes well and there would be no disruption in our plans, we hope to hear the evidence from the Kalata and other that case against the government. We will hear those witnesses then tomorrow.
How is the Commission deciding which interference allegations to investigate first?
Thank you so much. That's a very, very important and pertinent question. We will use the Kalata and others, that case as a basis for our engagement and for our investigation. And we will then also look at all the other information that we have received from other people, from interested parties, from government departments, etc. We unfortunately do not have a particular set of list. We all know that there were around 3,000 cases that were handed to the police for further investigation and to the NPA for prosecution. And that is what we are focusing our attention on. But it is important to stress that the Kalata and others versus government in that case, that serves as a very good basis. But it is not, that does not mean that the TRC Cases Inquiry will only look at those. There are obviously the list of cases that we know was handed over to the police and the NPA. And we have invited ministers and police commissioners, NPA directors to help us and grant us or help us to understand what happened to a particular case, what happened to all these cases, what have you been part of conversations, discussions, meetings, or any engagement on those particular cases. And that is then where we would take it from. So we're hoping to hear from them during this process to understand what happened to all of these cases, not only a particular set of cases.
As you well know, there are so many inquiries happening or taking place in South Africa at the moment. How do we know, am I jumping the gun, whether the findings of your hearings will lead to action and not just end up in a report that gathers dust on a shelf?
There are a few distinctions in that makes the TRC Cases Inquiry different from all the others. The one is that it's obviously a matter that has been before the courts. So there was a settlement or an agreement reached between those parties, and that then gave rise to this TRC Cases Inquiry. Also, that over the last 23 years, community activists, civil society organizations, other public interest parties have called for the establishment of a hearing to find out what happened. So it is both the result of a court case, but also from this groundswell of activism in the communities and society that gave rise to this. So it is not something that is just that has just been thought of. Secondly, it is also important to know that we are not a court of laws, so we cannot make certain judgments about people, but we can make recommendations to the president, who will then decide how to deal with those further. We do hope that understanding how we came about and the important role that this TRC Cases Inquiry would play in giving families the kind of justice that they have been longing for over the last 22 years. We do hope that the sense of urgency, that understanding that some of the victims have passed away during the last 22 years, or even some of the perpetrators have passed away, that the president would understand the importance, he would understand the urgency, and also then react according to what we have outlined in our recommendations.
Lionel, thank you so much for your time this evening. I wish I had more time. I have so many questions for you, but I hope that we can chat to you again in the coming weeks and, you know, as it all starts rolling out and everything gets underway. But thank you for your time this evening. That, of course, was Lionel Adendorf, the Commission's spokesperson, ahead of the start of hearings tomorrow.